welcoming you to this discussion section for today. My name is Mutin Yada. I'm a product of the department, and I'm very, very glad to be here today to discuss about how to collect data from the internet and analyze some of this data through some of the internet-enabled software too. I will be sharing the screen with you so that I'll be able to get some of the gist of the discussion for today. Okay. Prof, can I get the screen sharing section on?
Okay. Let me. I thought you'll be able to.
I can't do it here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, I can't do it here. He's telling me to seek for permission.
Okay.
Now
you are the host
I
now.
get it
Can you see? Is it activated now? Great.
Yes. Now. Yes.
Great.
Now, I'm very sure everyone is seeing this the screen now. Can we all see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let me start from the. Okay. Now we can all see this one. Sorry. So as I said, I'm going to discuss about collecting and analyzing data from the digital space, tools and topics. Almost everything I will discuss today is focusing on how to use internet-enabled software to collect data. The majority of these internet software data connection tools, they were developed by computer scientists and some people who understand how to do coding. Especially those people who use Python, how programming, and some other things like that. However, for some of us that will not actually understand coding and some other things, we have a lot of the software that are available for us to use that they don't actually need coding, programming, knowledge, and other things like that. So they have developed them for some of us to use without burdening ourselves on how do I do parallelograms, how do I do matrices, and some other things like that we need to do coding. So I'm moving on to the first part of the discussion for today. Digitally mediated research is very, very important in today's research world. We actually need to understand that digitally mediated research, it means the use of technologies such as online surveys. Some of us understand how to use Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, and others like that. Now, if you are now want to go further in terms of making more sense in using this particular digitally mediated research method, we actually need to understand how artificial intelligence has changed a lot. So most of my discussion will also focus on that part today. So now, fundamentals of data connection from digital space. The first thing is that there is no way we will use online digital connection without first of all understand traditional way of collecting data. So, for instance, now if you want to use Google Forms, it is very, very important for us to first of all develop our questionnaire on Microsoft Word documents. Then, by the time you now move to that particular software on the internet, you'll be able to copy your questionnaire items onto that particular software. Now, we also need to understand that how do we leverage artificial intelligence-driven data connection instruments? This is very, very important because most of the tools that we are using today on the internet, they have been developed from the concept of artificial intelligence, which actually mirroring the people's behavior on internet. For instance, now, some of us, when we are using internet, they will say, this internet is using cookies. By the time you click on accepting that particular information, it means that that website continues to track your movement anywhere you are going, especially when you are using your particular ID locations. Another thing is that we need to know that by the time you want to say, I want to collect data on the internet, you need to understand the nature of data, which means you need to understand whether data is being structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. Now, for structured data, if you are reading newspaper on the internet, most of the items there, they are structured in a way. However, what is structured to me, it may mean unstructured to somebody else. It depends on the kind of research approach that you want to take and your research objective that you have or questions, including the proportion of the theories you are using. So most especially, we need to understand that structured, unstructured, or semi-structured data, they are very, very important when we want to collect data from the internet. We need to understand them. Now, another thing is that we need to know that the data categories in terms of velocity, variety, veracity, value, and volume. Velocity means the speed at which data is being developed or being evolved on the internet. Variety means that is my data a post, comments, or I'm saying reactions or likes or dislikes. These are the variety. Now, veracity means that is my data really, really, really truthful? The source, credibility store. We need to know that if you want to collect data from the digital space. We also have value. What is the value of this particular data for me? Especially, am I going to have this data and use it to get more insight for my business intelligence or to make certain decisions? Now, we also have volumes of data on the internet. Now, we have kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, we have terabytes. Some of these data, if you want to have them stored on your laptop, you must have capacity that can contain them. If you don't have the capacity that can contain them, you are going to have a lot of issues when you want to process data further. Now, the next thing is that we need to understand the practices that we now in vogue. Now, for instance, now we have a lot of data protection policies now globally. So if I want to collect data from the internet, if I'm collecting data from Facebook, am I violating a particular privacy law? For instance, now in the past, we normally copy data from Facebook. Some Facebook comments now, you cannot copy them because the owner of that particular account has protected them. So for you to copy, you need to seek permissions. However, there is what we call API. That API is being used by some computer scientists to actually hack some of the data on the internet. So you can do that, but it is unethical to do it in research. Now, data connection tools, we can actually categorize them into various types, but today I'm going to look at the questionnaire. Sorry. I have some that you can use for questionnaire. Then we have some that you can use for text discovery, voice discovery, video discovery, photo discovery. But I'm not going to discuss anything about voice discovery, video discovery, and photo discovery today. So when I say discovery, I mean the software you can use to actually mine data from the digital space. So we have questionnaire. Under the questionnaire, we have Google form there. That Google form is very, very simple for everybody to use. So I'm not going to talk about that one today. Then we also have Google Trends. We have Google Alert, Google Correlates, SurveyMonkey, Qualtrics. These are the survey online questionnaire developer format that you can use for data connections. But the Google Trends and Google Alert and Google Correlate has been stepped down by the manufacturer, which is Google, because they said in the last 3 or 4, 5 years they have developed it, people don't use it. Actually, I've personally used it several times to have a link between one variable to another variable. So instead of using SPSS, you can actually use this Google Correlate. So for the Google Trends, I'm going to talk about the particle in the front. Now we also have text discovery. We have tone analyzer. That tone analyzer is telling us that, oh, I want to determine emotions. I want to know the language tone in a particular post, comment. It could be headline. So tone analyzer is very, very useful for that. We have Hadoop. Hadoop is being used for data discovery that is about terabytes for you to use network in your house. So basically, this one is being used by big company. So it's not just lay your hand on and say you want to use it. You must have a lot of money before you can use this particular software. So we also have RapidMiner. RapidMiner is not quite different from the others we have been seeing before. Feature we have in those by making it more quantitative. So we also have a Microsoft Power BI. This particular Power BI can help you to visualize your data, collect data from various sources, especially if you want to track some of the factors. Software that has been developed to help you archive or go back to the archive of the newspapers, especially those ones that are online. For instance, now this particular software can take you to any newspaper in the world by their previous publications. So for some of us going to the libraries of the newspapers now, you now pick a particular date that you are using to sample, then the software will take you to that. By the time you go to Google search engine, you see news, video, images. Now, however, Google has developed the issue of Magu. The day the issue started, I need to go there and put Magu as my keywords. I can also use corruption if I want to look for corruption. But if I put Magu there, it means that anywhere they make mention of Magu as a person or in relation with to EFCC or any other person in this particular world, you can actually know what is happening. So automatically, when you select, you need to get the news as it happens. It means that your email will be flooded with information about Magu. So, for instance, if I'm trying to write about Magu in my subsequent papers or thesis, I can actually use this particular means to track Magu stories. So instead of me looking for the news when it has been, they have been, the event has been finished. So I can go back to my email address and start picking each of the headline I have interest in, then analyze them based on the focus of my studies. So now the next one is a Google Trends. So this particular link is what you need to use if you want to use Google Trends. But in the front, I will show you how you can use Google Trends more. So now, if you look at this one, by the time we copy that particular link that I showed in previous slide, you will see this explore what the world is searching. So in this area, all the country in the world has been they have been included on this platform. So what you need to do is to go on top in this particular section. You see US will come up as default region in the world, but you have to change it to Nigeria. So the moment you change it to Nigeria, you will likely to see this particular side. I can't move this. No, sorry. So you will see why you're going to see okay, now you're going to see something like this. You see something like this worldwide, all categories, web search. Now, if I want to track coronavirus and COVID-19, I want to compare the public interest over time. So now for January now to January to this year now, I mean to this month, I can see what is trending. You can see here. You can see this one now. We have interest over time. So now I have already included the coronavirus as my search term. Then I have COVID-19 as my search term too. So I want to compare the public interest in the two keywords. So now, if you want to select Nigeria, you come to this side and click and type Nigeria there and select Nigeria as your location. Now, if you still want to change your year from this 2020 to another, or maybe weekly, you want to track hourly, you can come here and select that particular date that you wanted. Now, we also have all categories here. All categories here can also be changed to a particular key section you wanted to track. For instance, now, if you are saying all categories here, it means whether the public search about that keyword within the earth, you find it there, education, sports, entertainment, housing, like that. But for me, since my focus is to look at the earth issues, so I will click here and change it to health. So definitely what I'm going to have here as trending will be within that earth search section. So now, by the time you finish that one, you can see this particular area. Now see compared breakdown by region. So we have coronavirus and COVID. Now this map is showing us that coronavirus is the most searched keyword out of the two, because we couldn't see the high percentage of the search interest in COVID-19 here. Now, if you want to look at it by countries, you can see that Italy, France, Spain, United Kingdom, and Switzerland, they are the top 5 countries where people have interest in the coronavirus during that period. So now, if you want to look at the region again here, you can see changes to, okay, let me select a particular country here. You can change it to city here too, so that you're able to know which of these cities in the world you have been having coronavirus as the major interest. So now, by the time we finish that, okay. Now, apart from looking at this one that we have looked at the most interest in coronavirus and COVID-19, this next slide is telling us that coronavirus interest by region. Then now there is a section there that we are going to have related queries. So when people are searching for coronavirus, what are the key phrases they also have interest in? So now we have like this one now, number 6 is coronavirus symptoms. Now, we also have thank you, coronavirus pass, coronavirus tips, coronavirus map, coronavirus USA. So people wanted to know about coronavirus in the US. That is why we have the coronavirus in the USA here. Now, you can see that we are having numbers 44, 41, 37, 33, 32. Now, this number means that over that particular period of time, coronavirus symptom has been searched within 44%. And according to this software, it has been designed to start from 0 to 100%. So it means 44% out of 100%. So now, if I wanted to use these particular information for my paper or research work, I can say I want to explore more what people are really searching about coronavirus symptoms. So I want to know the specific symptoms they are searching. So you can still click on this and move to the new window to get more information about this. So now, after related queries, we also have for this COVID-19. So this is for coronavirus. This one is for COVID-19. So we can see that for COVID-19, COVID is the most searched terms here or phrases related to COVID-19 that we are having as the keywords. So we have 100% for COVID. Then we also have COVID coronavirus 76, COVID-19. Then we also have COVID-19 cases, then COVID-19 news. So now, let's now assume that I've finished looking at all this data, that I wanted to download it. I need to analyze it further. I cannot use it the way that I have it here. So this area is where you are going to click to download. Automatically, by the time you click on this, you will have your data in Microsoft Excel sheets. So by the time you click on it, you see it on your laptop, then go back and open the Excel sheet. Then it now show you per region where we have this particular coronavirus symptoms. So you can discover that, okay, this particular coronavirus symptoms has been searched most in this particular country or cities. So this is what we can see here. Now, if you see the Excel sheet I'm having here on my right side, you can see all categories now. So coronavirus and COVID-19. Now you can see that Italy, the interest has been more in coronavirus more than COVID-19. So automatically, when you are comparing two keywords, the 100% will be divided among the keywords. If it is 4, if it is 5, you have those percentage be divided among them. So we have 99% here and 1% here. So from this particular Excel sheet, you can actually turn this data to visualization. That's what I have here. But if you wanted to use this particular data for further analysis, not visualization like this, you can copy this to SPSS and try to look at what is the correlation between what people are searching about coronavirus and COVID-19. So you can see that whether there is a link between coronavirus interest and COVID-19 interest. So that is that for this. Then now let's move to sentiment analysis. Now, sentiment analysis and the fundamentals and practices, and we have to understand that whatever we are doing on digital space, we are actually involving in computational analysis, because you have the data together and compute them. So computational study is the key when you are on the internet or collecting data from it. You are trying to do some bits of mathematics. Some of us that we are afraid of mathematics, there is no way you will be using some of the digital tools and you're not going to have a kind of mathematical calculations. There's no way. As far as this thing is concerned, you need it. So computational study of opinions, sentiments, attitude, views, emotion, among others, expressed in text. This is sentiment analysis. So it is computational, such as reviews, posts, comments, news, blogs, emails, and others like that. Now, the scholars, both in academic and industry, they have different names for sentiment analysis. Some are calling it opinion mining. Some say sentiment mining. Some say subjectivity analysis. Whatever you call it is not the main issue. What we just need just to understand how do we collect the data easily and analyze and bring out insight plus intelligence before we can actually we are making decisions. So now, what are the purposes? What are the purposes of sentiment analysis? Now, if you have sentiment analysis, you can actually describe your data. You can also predict from the data. Maybe you want to know what is the link between Nigerians having negative perception or orientation or disposition towards the MAGU against the kind of the money they have said they have recovered so far. So we can use this particular sentiment analysis for it. Then we also have prescriptions. You can use sentiment analysis to prescribe. That is, maybe you are training the policy makers. How do you make sense from what is happening now? For instance, now we have coronavirus or COVID-19. So people have been saying this and that. Now, if you go online, look at what people are saying about the measures that have been taken by the government. You can actually look at their insight and prescribe and tell the policymakers or stakeholders that, please come, this is what public wants instead of this and this and this you are doing. So that is that under the fundamentals of sentiment analysis. Now, how do we now get data to do sentiment analysis? Now, we need to, before we get data from sentiment analysis, we need to understand some critical issues. Now, I've discussed navigate big data, structure, unstructured, and semi-structured data. Now, for us to do sentiment analysis very well, we need to understand structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. Now, and I've discussed that one before. When you need some data like comments, the way you are going to have them, they may be in structured format, they may not be in a structured format. So you need to turn unstructured to structured. If you also have semi-structured, you have to turn them to structured according to your own research objectives. So after that, we need to understand text polarity. If you want to do sentiment analysis, it's either you move to negative or positive or neutral. So text polarity actually means the orientation of the text. If I say orientation of the text, I'm referring to the mood of the person that wrote that particular text. It could be the post or comment. So is the person positive about that particular issues or need? Is the person negative about it or doesn't even actually take any position? So it means neutral. Now, if you want to now convert this positive, negative, neutral to mathematical one, then you have to do sentiment ratings. Like what we normally have when you are developing a questionnaire, The other half strongly agree, disagree. Now, in the past, when I was in university, undergraduate, I was taught how to do just only positive, negative, and neutral and calculate together. So if I'm picking a particular story and I say, oh, I'm using this positive, negative, neutral as my content categories. So the moment I discover that particular positive, I will calculate it as 1. So I will now say sum. So I can now say, oh, for this particular issues like corruption in Nigeria, the newspaper, they are actually more positive than negative about the coverage. So, but sentiment ratings has changed a lot. So you can give a numerical rank to those positive, negative, and neutral we are talking about. So now let's say from 1 to 3 now, I can decide to have my positive as 3, then my negative as 2, the neutral as 1. The reason why we are doing this is that instead of looking at describing the data alone, for you to say you want to look at inferential statistics, you need to actually give your content categories a numerical value. So now we have 1 to 3, which is ternary options. Then we also have binary options. Binary option means yes or no. Binary option is good when you wanted to do logistic regression analysis, because by the time you're having yes or no, there's no way you're going to use that particular yes or no options to analyze linear regressions or other things like that. So you have to understand that my data have actually been included, formatted in the right way. So now, the statement analysis also talk about aspect based beyond the text that you have actually looked at, the entire text. Now, I want to move to the aspect based. Determine the sentiment towards specific aspect, people, issues, needs, product, service, among others in the text. So I can say, oh, this particular text I'm reading, this person is talking about Mago. Is even from this particular text is negative. By the time you are looking at the individual within the text, you are doing aspect-based analysis within the sentiment analysis. So we also have keyword proximity and accompaniment. When you say keyword proximity, when they made mention of Mago in that text, now you can look at by your left side and the right side, which of the words that you have there is more negative or positive about Mago in that context. So you also look at, okay, when they made mention of Mago, is it also positive or negative? That's his accompaniment. So when we are doing aspect-based analysis within segment analysis, we actually need to understand that we have to look at those keyword proximity to and accompaniment. So now, why do we need to actually embrace background research before I come up for this particular discussion? I discovered that Google Scholar's 2020 metrics within the humanities, literature, and art, these are the top 10 journals in the world. And by the time my team look at the articles published in this journal, in each of them from 2015 to 2019, we actually discovered that most of them employed digital tools to do the analysis. You can see a lot of trending. They use Google Trends, they use Google Alerts, they use Google Correlate to make sense from the data and conclude before they give a lot of recommendations. So what actually makes these particular digital collection tools important is that there is no way we need to join the global conversation. We need to join the other scholar outside there. We need to follow the normal, or let me say, the appropriate tools right now. Nobody is ready to. They actually discovered that in Africa here, or let me say developing continents, we don't actually have a lot of ethical standards that we can use to guide us for this. So now let me move on to sentiment analysis. Now, I've discussed about how you can do positive, negative, neutral, aspect-based, but we have a lot of issues regarding why do we use and the acceptability issues. Now, don't actually believe. They will say, how do we show that that particular structure has not been manipulated by the system? Because it is people that actually manufacture it or develop it. But some scholars also did some analysis. When evaluating the sentiment analysis, they said research shows that human analysts tend to agree around 80 to 85%. So most of us that we understand how to use intercodal reliability, we discover that if we do a content analysis and we don't have intercodal reliability, then that particular paper, there is possibility of rejecting your paper to you or sending back your paper back to you. So the human being, when we are doing intercodal reliability, we are likely to have between 80 to 85%. Though some they will say by the time you have 50% and above, it's okay. Even when you say you have 40, they will say moderate intercodal reliability. Then by the time you have 50, they will say good or better intercodal reliability. That is that under the human. However, the computer scientists, those who actually manufacture this particular stuff here, so they are gathered together and they said, no, we can also use machine learning to discover accuracy of all these tools. So now, accuracy score for most of the tools is between 80% and 81.5% and above. So now, despite the emerging research methods and design trends and level of accuracy score achieved so far, some scholars still prefer human approach to machine approach. So we actually need to look at that. But as time goes on, there's no way. We need to key into the global conversation by making use of these tools. However, we can state the limitations. By the time you are getting to the point where they say, okay, we need to take some caution in implementing the findings of a study by stating limitations for us. So in developing world, digital divides and gaps in usage have been cited as reason for rejecting machine approach to sentiment. I've discussed this one before. So now, emotion analysis. So from the sentiment analysis, we need to move to emotion analysis. So emotion is actually different from that particular neutral negative. So that positive, neutral, negative, we are talking about orientation. We are talking about disposition of the people towards the issues, needs, or people. But emotion analysis will give more insight. So we can carry out emotion analysis within the sentence and document level. So by the time you are saying document level, if I have a particular speech, I can say, oh, I want to determine the entire emotions within this particular speech. Then I can say, oh, I want to look at the sentence. You can also do it at paragraph level. So now, for the software, I have 2 or 3, but I'm discussing 1 today. So now, for the emotion, the people who develop this particular software, they have actually started being developed within the meaning of this particular emotion categories. Now we have anger, we have fear, we have joy, we have sadness. If you get some other software for emotion analysis, you'll be likely not to have anger like this, fear like this, joy like this. Some can say happiness. So some can say hungriness and others like that. Now, these people that develop this particular software that we are talking about today, they are the one that define what they meant by anger. So this is just like when we want to use content categories, and your supervisor is telling you that, oh, tell me the meaning of this particular keywords or categories that you're talking about. So these people have said anger, the likelihood of writer being perceived as angry. So low values indicate unlikely to be perceived as angry. Then we also have here likelihood of writer being perceived as scared. Low values indicate unlikely to be perceived as fearful. Now, these tools, just like Google Trends, we have from 0 to 100. So if I copy a particular post and I include it on that particular software, the section I'm going to use to analyze that particular information, by the time I put it there, it will show me whether there is anger in that particular post, comment, or tweet. Now, it will now show me whether it is 60, 20, or 0. So if it is 0, you won't see that level of anger. I will show you that one later. So now, after assessment and emotion analysis, we also have tone analysis. So we can also conduct sentence and the document and discover the tone in that particular area. The tone here is actually referring to language that the person has used while discussing or communicating that particular information to the public. So now for sentiment analysis, we have emotion analysis, we have tone analysis under sentiment analysis, apart from having the orientation that we have discussed before. So for the tone analysis, according to this particular structure, is a writer's business and analytical attitude about things. Higher value, more likely to be perceived as intellectual, rational, systematic, and emotionalness or impersonal. So we also have confidence. To what extent can you say the person who said this particular information is confident about that particular message he has passed out? So we also have tentative. This is ability to say you are doubting that particular information. So that is under the tone analysis. Then after the tone analysis, emotion analysis, and the sentiment that I have discussed about the orientation part of it, we also have topical modeling. Like I said, there is no way you want to do sentiment analysis without having a kind of a little bit of mathematical discussion. So we have topic clustering. In communication research or mass media research, when we look at the topic, issues, the actors, then topic clustering is very, very important when you are doing, especially social networking research. You want to look at what people are saying, and you want to look at, okay, how do we look at the link between one particular information or one particular topic to another topic within that particular environment or the post. So topic clustering is the collection and separation or categorization of connected issues from tweets, posts, comments, among others, in social networking site platforms. So when we have this particular information, we can use linear and logistic regression analysis to analyze them. So if you are saying, oh, I've discovered that people are discussing corruption, they are discussing killings, they are discussing coronavirus in Nigeria. So I can now say, what's the link between the coronavirus that have been discussed by people with the killings or health issue or any other things that I have in mind to study? So we also have topic nearness. Within a particular network, when we are doing sentiment analysis, you can also look at to what extent a particular topic is near to another topic. So it is the identification of close issue in social networking sites or platforms. So you can also use correlation, neutral network analysis, and we can also do key nearness neighbor. So all these tools, method of analyzing the data, you can find them in SPSS. So now we have data mining and cleaning. You have your data. In most cases, you are not expected to have your data directly from the digital space and start analyzing it. Some of these data need to be cleaned after mining. So what we have been discussing before, they are data mining. So now I've had my data, I need to clean it. Like that of Google Trends, you have Google Trends there, and you have downloaded it into SPSS. When you get to SPSS, if you are looking at what people are searching about coronavirus all over the world, the software has been developed in such a way that it brings up all countries in the world, whether they search about it or not. But on my own part, I don't want to use the location where there is no data. So I will clean it up, I will delete it until I get the perfect data I wanted. So data cleaning is very, very important. When you're also doing data connection on Twitter, Facebook, or other social media platform, some people use a lot of symbols, notation that we don't want them to be there. Because if you have those notation there, especially when you want to analyze it using emotional analysis software, the answer you are going to get will be quite different from when you clean those things out. So this is very, very important when we are doing data connection from the digital space. So now, practical section. So we have to analyzer and the sentiment visualizations here. So in the next slide, this is the link to Tone Analyzer. If you want to use this software, you need to copy this particular link. Then you get there and start doing the data analysis there. Then we also have sentiment based. This is what I discussed earlier time, that developed by one university in the American. So now let us move to emotion, tone, and tone discovery. So now, if you want to use Tone Analyzer, like I said the other time, by the time you click on this, we are going to have this as our home page. So when we get to this home page, we have some instruction there. So we see sample use cases. So this is what they have here as default message. So now we can actually look at the tone within the text, within the tweets, or review, like client review or customer review. We also have email message that you want to look at the tone of the person. You can click on this. We also have product reviews in French. So if you are using French language, so you can use this one. But because I don't have tweets now, I don't use the online review, I don't have the email message, I don't have product review, so I want to go to your own text too. I have my own personal. By the time you click on this default message just wipe out. So now, when you leave that one, the next thing that you're going to have is like this. So this is my own message now. So I've already clicked your own text. So you can see we want to bring the text closer to every state. Everybody is working. So now, by the time you select English language, at the bottom of this chart, there is a section where it will say analyze. So you click on that analyze, your output will be this one. So my first output is this. You can see document level. So later I will see sentence level. So now this is my document level now. You can see that tones, we have anger, we have fear, we have joy, we have sadness here. Then for the language tone here, this is for the emotion. For the language tone, I have analytical, confident, and tentative here. Now, for this particular document, the text I have here, I don't have emotions at document level. So I only have language tone at document level. So if I want to look at it from sentence level now, I'll now move to this side. I can see tones. Still, I don't have emotion within the text, but I only have the language tone, like the one we have here. So you can now say, okay, you can see the instruction to understanding the answers now. Now, this is .5, which is less than 5, less than 50%. So for 50% to 75%, you can see the blue is more lighter here. Then we have deep blue here, so which is greater than 75%. So now, if you want to now look at this message now on your Microsoft Excel sheet, you need to create for each. If you are reviewing a post, you say post 1. Now under the post 1 now, on your row on top of on that particular post 1, you will have all this there. So by the time you discover this particular emotion, like anger, if it is like 60 in the text, then you put it there. For that particular post or comment, you have 50% for anger. Then you pick others like that until you fill it up. So now, if it is language tone, you also look at language tone level. By the time you click on this highlighted sentence, it will pop up and show you what you have within it. Even if you also have emotion there, everything will be there for you. So what just needs to do is to just type what you have there in the as score into Microsoft Excel sheet. So by the time you finish with that analysis, you can also transfer your data from Microsoft Excel sheet to SPSS. If you also like, you can visualize your data within that Microsoft Excel sheet without even moving to SPSS. So that is that under the Tone Analyzer. Now let's move to sentiment visualization. Now I believe that everybody can see this. So we have, by the time you click on the link I provided earlier time, we go to this place. Now when you get to this page, you see sentiments straight away. Now you see topics, hit map. You also see tag cloud, timeline, map, affinity, narrative, tweet. Now each of these have different functions. This is your default home page. Now, I want to look at corruption of coronavirus. I will come to this particular area and type my keywords there. By the time I type my keywords there, then I click query. Then the data will roam like this. Then you bring information for you about the sentiment. I will show you this later. So now we can also look at the topics, what people are really discussing about that particular issues. You see there. Now, if you want to look at the map, you can also get the map here. Then you also have that cloud. That cloud, I'll also show you this in the front. So now we also have map, the timeline of that particular number of tweets that people have posted. You can see the timeline, maybe starting from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. or thereabout. So you can also see the map. This map will show us the location of the Twitter, the Twitter handles, the users, or the people who posted those information that we are trying to track. So we see them here, whether they are in US or America. You can also see whether they are more in America than Nigeria or than Ghana or any other country. So you can also see the affinity here, like the keyword, the proximity we discussed about last time. So narrative here will show us the actual text. Then you can also have the tweets, the entire tweet that we have. You discover them when you click on this. So now let me move to this, and this is the tweets. Let us assume that I use this one is coronavirus. So this one is coronavirus, and I click on the tweets, then it show me 303 tweets. So instead of bothering myself about sitting down, copy one after the other, you can actually click on this. You highlight, then click on this and copy all these tweets into Microsoft Word. Sorry. So all these tweets into Microsoft Word. So from there, you can start analyzing it further. So if you want to look at the individual users, you want to see maybe their profile, you can click here and look at it. And this is the date and time of each tweet. And whether the tweet is being retweeted, you also see the person who retweeted that particular tweet. So until you get what you wanted, you can also use this particular search section to look for keywords or get the information that you wanted. So now, sentiment discovery using sentiment. So now, by the time you type, like this one now, I have Mago. So my Mago, I'm looking at the sentiment alone, the first section in the previous picture that I showed you. So you can see now sentiment alone, we have the negative and positive side. My right side is my positive, my left side is my negative. So if you look at this stuff here now, the tweets are more towards the right side. Now, the pleasant, high confidence, unpleasant, low confidence in that particular issues. So we have 170 tweets to analyze within the period that maybe I put my keywords there. So the last time you bring it out for me and I will see what people have been doing. So now this particular tweet has been designed in such a way that all these words, they are within this particular unpleasant area: upset, stress, nervous, tense. Then we have active. Then by the time we move to the positive, we can start seeing the positive words: alert, excited, elated, happy. So this is the pleasant section. Now, by the time you look at it down, you see contented, serene, and then relaxed, and calm. So we also have unhappy, depressed, and bored. So these are the negative part of it. So the great points here represent those who belongs to the high confidence sections about that particular Mago issues. So now you can see we have the light blue one here, which are the people on pleasant, low confidence. So they are not up to these particular pleasant people. So from this one now, you can understand the data in visualizations. So now, if we move to this side now, timelines of the tweets, you can now see this particular Mago issues now. This is 178 tweets. So it started from 9:16 a.m. Then we have the key there that showed us that, okay, at what point in time people are relaxing about that particular issues, at what point in time people were happy about it. Then we also have unhappy and upset. So you can see that happy is more common. Is more common than unhappy and upset. So you can see the timeline here and listen from it. Especially for those people who wanted to have this as specialization straight away and write messages around it instead of analyzing it further. You can use this one to discuss about the issues in the media. So now the third cloud or the what? This one is telling us from the part of the unpleasant one and tell us that okay, the people who belong to the particular pleasant area, what are the keywords they are using? So you can see it's like the people within the pleasant, they are using investigation, EFCC, Fulani, arrest, economic, Anthony, Magu. Then we have Nigerian public. Then we also have Ibrahim, Baba. Then all whatever. Okay, allegations. Then we have Malami. So leave suspension, money, people. So we are most likely to have a positive words around this area. Then we also have within this area, we have unpleasant area. We can see Mago, GDED, penalties, Chelsea. So somebody discussed about sport here. We also have corruption, result, probe, Lampard. So sports also coming in here. So it means as people discussing about Mago, there's possibility of some Twitter users here tagging Mago within sports issues. By the time you use art and you put Mago there, then I'm using this particular software to retrieve issues about Mago. There's no way I will not have those information too. That's why we're having Chelsea and Lampard here. Then we look at the down one here. You also have Professor Shibajo. And this is because Shibajo has also been linked with the issue of the Mago. So we have corruption here, arrest corruption, illegal. So the unpleasant part of it actually have almost negative words there. So now that is that around understanding the key topic or keywords within the tweets. So now polarity. When we say polarity, we now take more holistic view about the issue of positive and negatives. So by the time you look at this one now, you can see the active, subdued, and unpleasant, and you can see pleasant here. So the pleasant is also about positive. Then we have unpleasant as negative. So from the tweet that we have 178 tweets for the period we have studied. So we have 61 within the what do you call it, the pleasant area. However, the pleasant area is this one is at the bottom. So we can see that we have much of negative polarity. So instead of looking at segment analysis from the angle of three categories we have been using, like orientations, like positive, negative, and neutral, when we are saying sentiment polarity, we need to move to positive and negative straight away. We are not going to have neutral any longer. But the polarity will tell us which side do people actually move to than which side. So it's not the side that say, oh, I cannot take any stand. In this particular area, when you are using sentiment polarity, you are going to see those who belong to positive and those who belong to the negative side. So this tools is also helping us to do that. Then topics now. Now I discussed the topic clustering before. Now topics nearness. These tools help us to actually know the cluster of the tweets that we have been studying. So we have Mago 178 here. Now you can see that we have two clusters, but in these singletons, these are the people that we cannot actually categorize them or classify them to any cluster. So they maybe they are having some topics that are not actually aligned together. But this area, we can see that we have cluster like 8 people here. We also have 12 people here. It could also be tweets, 12 tweets and 8 tweets. So if you click on this, you can actually see the tweet itself and the users of that Twitter handle. So you can see them. But I cannot click this one and you get it here until you do it on your own. So we can see that file, house, and corruption, they are the key issues or topics being discussed within these 8 tweets or users. We also have recovered here. We have recovered, and you can see presidential and Ibrahim. So which means this is Ibrahim Magu here, and people are also discussing about presidents here or presidency. Then they're also discussing about recovered. Maybe they are saying they recovered money, or the money that has been recovered is being reduced, whatever. So you can see them here. So we have 8 plus 12 here is 20. So we have 20 as being clustered here. Why we have more than 1 and something. So minus 20 from the 178. So others are here. So now affinity and proximity in a social network. Now I discussed the keyword proximity before, and for the individual, apart from the keywords, we can see that this is this is the Magu again. So we have Magu here. The line we are seeing here, connecting here and there, these are the people that, or the link, to tweets that have connection together. We have this. This one and this one, they don't actually have any link with anybody. So they stand alone. Like that, those one we discussed before, singletons. So we have Reject Nigeria. Now, by the time you click on this and this and this, you can actually see the actual tweets and the user of that tweet. Tweet handles there. So you can see Reject Nigeria. You can know who posted this. Is it an organization? Is it an individual? So the person who used particular Magu hashtag, you can also see it. So you can see that at Buhari, maybe somebody tweeted about Magu and the person tagged Buhari. That's why we have this here. But because we don't have more people that tag Buhari like this in this particular study period, then you can see that it's just only stand alone. But if we see somebody that tagged Buhari, then we are likely to see the line here join the 2 or 3 or 4 people who use this particular tag here. So now if we look at these 3 details, you can see July 14, 9:42 a.m. This is the time the person actually posted it now, and this is the what they call it, Nnamdi Kanu. So the tweet is retweeted in a way RT. So Nnamdi Kanu, the man appointed to prosecute government looters in Nigeria, is seamlessly looting all the code. Ironic, isn't it? So are you beginning to understand why we call Nigeria a zoo? So you can see the details of the tweet here, and if you still want to read it further, you can click on this link. Then we now have the main words within that particular tweet. So if you wanted to look at the keywords, whether the person is talking about the individual issues here, like man, I'm very sure is referring to Magu here, then are appointed here. These are the keyword prosecute. So now we also have government beginning understand called zoo, this and that. So all these data can be actually mined out then and use them to further understand the insight, the needs, the issues, and other things that you wanted to use them for. So that is that under the affinity and proximity social network. So let us move to Practical 3, Wayback Machine and Google News. So like the other one, if you click on this Wayback Machine, you click on this link, it takes you to the website. Then you start using it. Then the same thing for Google News. So let me go here. Now, this is the Wayback Machine. Now, explore more than 451 billion web pages saved over time. So you can get a lot of information about maybe content analysis. You want to do archiving, go there and retrieve the material. So if you put Nigerian Tribune headline address here, you can get their publications from, let's say, the date they started archiving it from their own backend. So you can get this out. So now we move on from this. By the time you type the address here and you click on browse history, then you are going to see things like this. So now this is a particular website that I've used. Then you can see that saved 415 times between April 2011 and May 13, 2020. So this means that this particular website has been archived between April 5, 2011 and May 13, 2020. So if you want to say, no, my study year is 2022, 2002, you can go there, but you don't have any data there. So you can start having data from 2011 to 2020. So I can go to 2020. By the time you click on this one will change to the month of that particular year. So now, if you look at this one now, you can see that April 1, the paper and the website has been archived there. So April 22, April 23. So if I'm using content analysis as my method and I wanted to get the news story that I want to analyze, coded or whatever, so I need to go here and click on this April 1. By the time I click on this April 1, the websites of that particular paper, I will get there. Then I will get to the news story published on that day, April 1 alone. So if they have sports, everything, I'll see them there and start extracting what I wanted to extract. So instead of going to the library in the physical form, sitting down there, then start reading each of the papers one after the other until you finish that particular paper, then for that day, pick another one. But this one is actually helping us to shorten the time. So I can say, hey, in April, I've selected, I use a systematic sampling, which is 3 days interval, 4 days interval. So by the time I look at this, I can say, oh, my sampling techniques cannot give me this. So that is that for the Wayback Machine. Then let's go to Google News. So we have Google News like the other website that I've discussed before. So if you go here, this is Ibrahim Magu. This also gives us a kind of a section where you can type the keywords you wanted to track. So if you go to the section and type Ibrahim Magu or Magu, you're going to have a lot of stories. From the day one they started reporting Magu's issues. So you can have the stories there. Then you want to know the people that publish it, you see it there. Then if you want to see the full coverage here, by the time you click on the full coverage, you're going to see a lot about Ibrahim Magu to the present moment. So that is why this one is now being useful. If, for instance, now I wanted to do headline analysis, so I am tracking Magu stories. So I need to go to the Google News. Then each day I'm tracking, I can get them there and start line instead of going to the library, physical library, and start looking at deadline and start writing them out. So this one is helping me to get the news stories on a Jiffy. So we have the news of all the newspapers in Nigeria, especially those ones that have been normalized by the Google. Because before you can get to the Google News, you must have done a lot of a good. If you don't accept story like copy and paste, so you cannot see people that have been copy and paste here because they have the story that track those copy and paste out, so they won't accept you into this Google News and normalizations engine. So we have now. How do we now situating this sentiment analysis, emotions, tones, and others like that in paper? So I actually came up about this one. I said situating sentiment analysis in descriptive and computational content analysis. Most of us, when we were in undergraduate, we learned descriptive content categories, not actually computational content categories. Because by the time I count positive, negative story in particular paper, then I will say out of 25 stories I found in this particular editions or period, 20% of the stories is this and this and this. What we are actually doing is descriptive content analysis. But now, with the use of digital tools for data collection, especially when you are doing segment analysis, opinion analysis, or whatever you are doing on the internet that you are using digital tools to do them, we are actually engaging in computational content analysis. So we can now say we have descriptive content analysis and computational content analysis in our studies. So I developed this one, wanted to look at economic recovery and growth plan. So what is the media role? What is the media role in this particular economic recovery and growth plan? So the media have been covering how can we go back from recessions to normal economic life. So they wanted to use they are using the economic recovery plan of the government. So I wanted to know now, okay, what is the tone? What is the language? What are the issues that the media have been discussing about the recovery plan. So are they actually key into that plan when they are writing their stories or developing information for the public to consume? So we have this there, and we have descriptive content analysis. That's why they say DCA. Then we also have CCA. So this CCA means the computational content analysis. So we use CCA to actually verify attitudinal dispositions of the newsmakers and then journalists towards the policy and economic recovery and growth. So newsmakers here, we refer them to the people that they interviewed. It could be public affairs analysts. It could be the government officials. So we also look at journalists. So if a journalist wrote an opinion about that economic recovery, we count the person as also an actor in making the plan works out for the governments. Because by the time the governments are receiving information from the public about the possibility of achieving some of the objectives in the economic recovery plan, we believe that the media is also helping them. Media is also performing their own roles. So in that regard, so now we measures the data. So we now look at attitudinal disposition. Like I said last time, we have statement analysis, orientation. So we have positive, negative, neutral. So we also use this one. Attitudinal disposition was investigated at positive and neutral and negative levels. So using headlines and stories as unit of analysis. So this particular software, the one we use for language and tone, if you actually wanted to look at each stories being published, you want to know whether the media are being angry about what the government is doing regarding recovery plan process, or their behaviors towards it in terms of activity they are doing. So you can look at, okay, copy the particular story published by the newspaper, then place it within that particular software. Then you can get the level of emotions and language there. So you can actually analyze each story using this software and get information out. But in this regard, what we use for this particular work is not that particular tone analyzer. We use another one. That one has the orientation part of the statement analysis, like positive, neutral, and negative. So by the time you put it there, it will show you the positive and negative aspect of it. So we also have deep neural network. That deep neural network is more or less of using artificial intelligence. So, and there is another software. That one is also here. So you can see text sentiment visualizer. So this one uses the deep neural networks and data-driven documents. So available on this. So this is the link to it. Now, let me. This one is even more advanced here. We can see that within the headline sentiment analysis, apart from looking at the headline and say this headline is looking at positive and negative direction or neutral direction, you can also look at the sentiment analysis within the text. So we can see that we examine the text, say input and output. So the P in this category, in context, represents our phrases in the headline. So we also expect that each headline will have between 1 and 3 phrases or infinities. That is, when you are writing headlines, do you have 1 word there, 2 words there, 3 words there, or your phrases there? So that is our input. And we want the output to be disposition. So the input we are seeing here, P1, P2, P3, it means that, in this headline, I discover just only 1 phrase. In this headline, I discovered just only 2 phrases. So if you're having 1 phrase, you put it there. If you're having 2 phrases, you put it there. So that's what you have for input. Then our output is that we want to look at positive, negative, and neutral within the headline. So we also adopted the same process for this individual story. That's why we decoded this one, like the stories were analyzed at sentence level, where input is S, then our output is dispositions. So I'm using this particular input and output to deep further. How can we now implement sentiment analysis beyond the surveys of saying I've discovered the positive and negatives? So I'm expecting the story from the media to be like this. Then I'm expecting the output to be like this. So when they are writing the stories or publishing the information, you don't actually see that people are actually getting more information from this. analyze what they are doing further. So we can now say, oh, your input is this, but the output is saying this. So we can now start saying that, like, please come. Your information is not actually this, is this and this, and the government should this. That the government you are trying to direct information to, they should do this, they should do that. The stakeholders should do this and this and that. So that's what we have for all this. So the overall essence of adopting the deep neural network for the evidence analysis within the story is to create evidence level model. So when we are saying input and output, we are moving towards creating a model. And model means that we have independent and dependent variable. And we want to know how the independent variable affects the dependent variable. So by the time you look at that, we can say, hey, this is the actual behavior in this context. So we wanted to know how the sentence level model in which certain number of words lead to understanding of sentiment polarity. So like what I say, positive, negative, and neutral, and help determine the extent to which the distribution influences the real GDP. So our focus at the end of the day for this particular work is that we wanted to know how the reportage about economic recovery plan, those areas the government said, in so year, we are going to move our real GDP for agriculture sector from this to this particular period and percentage. From health sector, we are going to do this and that. So now, having analyzed the story published about the issues in all the sectors, we have looked at the positive, negative, neutral. Then, the period the government said they are going to have that particular GDP growth, I want to know to what extent the media reporter actually help the government to always making progress or adjust their processes towards achieving that particular GDP growth expectations. So, in other words, we can actually use sentiment analysis to determine the government activities, to also know how the government behaves when the media reported this and this and this and that about their activities. So that is why we are saying purposes of sentiment analysis, prediction, description, prediction, and the what they call it, prescription. Prediction, prescription, and descriptions. So it's very, very important when we are doing sentiment analysis. So as time goes on, we need to always look at beyond descriptive content analysis. We need to go to computational content analysis. That is where we are going to have more success in terms of accepting our papers, in terms of people knowing that, okay, we are already moving with the trends. So nobody is always expecting us now that when we have a lot of digital tools and start looking at doing just only media reported this about the economy, 90% negative, 20% neutral, this is positive. We need to move more further by looking at how can we now link that particular descriptions to competitive content analysis. So by the time we are using the descriptive level, taking it to computational level, it means we are really making sense and trying to join the world of global discussion in a way that we are going to be like those people have in the best 10 journal articles in the world from 2015 to 2019. So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Mutiu. I'm giving you a round of applause here, though I've not muted people so even if they are applauding you, you can't hear them. Okay, now I want to now open up. Hello?
Hello, I'm listening.
Okay, people, I want to now open up for question and answer. I can see Oreluwa's hand is already up, but before we take the questions and answers that are fresh, let's take those ones that have already been sent to the chat box in the chat area. Some of those questions in the chat box are directed indirectly They are directed at me, I know. 1 or 2 or 3 of them are directed at me, not at our lecturer.
Sorry.
Yes. Some others are directed at our lecturer. Sorry, I'm trying to sort out a number of things here. My headphone is misbehaving. So I'll read out those questions. I'll read out those questions. I'll first deal with the ones that I can answer, that I know were addressed to me, and why, so that Mutiu can have a minute or two to relax and catch his breath. So the first one is sir, two actually are saying about the same. Sir, how do we ensure that departments accept this digital software for data collection? I would quickly answer that there is not a lot of argument around that. I cannot speak for all the departments in the world, or I can't even speak for all the departments in UI. But I can speak for the Department of Communication and Language that if you use these tools, they will be accepted. They will be critiqued. Any tool you use, whether questionnaire or whatever, people will critique it. But you would be the one to be ready to educate people and convince them that these are good tools. So your own level of understanding of the tools matter to your ability to persuade first of all, your supervisor, and then your seminar people, and then the assessors of the importance of these tools. I think these tools are very important. The digital tools, not beyond these ones, they are very important. However, because to do content analysis now is getting more and more difficult without these tools, because people are no longer buying hard copy newspapers, unlike what obtained 10, 15 years ago, even less than 10 years ago. So any department that outlaws this kind of tools is going to outlaw a huge proportion of content analysis. And I think the second question, I'm worried about the acceptability of the sources of information and academic write-ups. How can this be handled? If you see the latest version of APA, all these sources have now been recognized, and there is a guidance on how to use them. I shared a video in our WhatsApp group, the Doctoral Academy WhatsApp group, about a week ago, where that lady discusses these new sources. So how to document them, how to cite them are already there. Now, let us remember, however, that say Google Trends or Aggie or any of those sophisticated tools, they are not literature sources. So they are not going to be cited in chapter 2 or the way you cite literature. They are data sources. Your business with them is in chapter 3. And they are tools, they are tools for harvesting data. They are not the data itself. I think we should remember to make that point. Then someone say, can Google Trends be included in my reference page, knowing that Wikipedia is usually rejected? Again, I think I've now answered that question as well. Google Trends is not literature, so you really don't have to cite it. But in your chapter 3, where you are discussing methodology, you are going to say data were collected using Google Trends for this reason. Yeah, and that's all. And well, if somebody wants, they can say, okay, just put www.googletrends there or something, so that we can find out what Google Trend is if we don't know. Yeah, so I think that is that. So we have the questions that I harvested here. Now so I've dealt with 3 of them. Somebody is asking, I think the question has been answered indirectly, but Mutiu, I think you want to speak to this. Which of these tools is the best for mining data off Twitter? I know the person who asked this question, and I know what she and I went through trying to harvest data from Twitter. So it's understandable. That's a question. Maybe you speak to that briefly, then I'll read out the other 2 questions that are left.
I need to be honest. There is no tools that we can use that we say it is the best, because all these tools are made by computer scientists. In fact, somebody who also have a little background about computation analysis, or let me say mathematics, and you understand how to use how programming or Python, you can actually develop your own. What you just need, like the prof said, is that you need to explain the procedure in a way. So if I'm saying I wanted to have a kind of tools to extract my information now, but I couldn't get that tools, but I understand how to use hard programming coding, I can actually code what I wanted. Then I will extract the information from the internet. But I just need to make sure that I actually said, oh, this is the way I think about this. I can remember when I wanted to collect data from Dr. Latisi, so we had issues then. So a particular software that I discovered on the internet, they have free version, which is freedom. They also have a paid one. But unfortunately for us, the kind of the requirement that we have, I mean, we had then, they don't have it. So by the time I wanted to use that particular software, it doesn't work for me. So I reached out to the company. They said, no, their tools cannot answer that for me. But they can only do what? They can only do it for me personally, which means I need to pay extra for them to do. So in actual fact, all these things that we are using, they are being developed based on science-based knowledge, computer science-based knowledge. So if you wanted to do a particular tool, that this is one we want to extract information, fine, it's good. You go ahead with it. So we cannot say this is a particular tool that is the best. In fact, we have more than 1,000 tools that we can use to extract tweets.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mutiu. I mean, as I said, I just learned how to use Agi less than a month ago.
That is it.
And people are already leaving Agi. They are going to Agi Plus. So it never ends. I think that is just it. It never ends. I'm going to, and then somebody wanted to talk a little bit more about neutrality. He says, how does a researcher handle neutrality when analyzing sentiments? And then say, I think neutrality applies also to emotions.
Yes.
Not only to sentiments.
Yes.
I think these are very useful questions.
Yes. So now, like the software that I discussed now, I discussed about tone analyzer. They don't have neutrality as part of their emotions. In fact, it's not even their own language tones. So that particular software is actually focused on emotions and language tone. And those emotions they are referring to, they are those ones they stated in their own tools. So like what we stated the other time, there's no tool that we can say is the best. So if you get to another tools now, and also looking at emotions, they may not have the same thing because they are just like a product that we are developing this and this and this and that. So when I discover an issue with some products, then me as a manufacturer, I will develop another one to counter that particular problem or to address the problem. So neutrality itself is a complex measurement when you are doing content analysis or emotional analysis. So now we have positive and negative. These are the reasons why we discover about the polarity. The best way to escape neutrality issues is to focus on positive and negative and remove neutral. But in a situation whereby you cannot do without having neutrality, then what is the definition of your own neutrality in the context of your study? That will determine whether your neutrality is this and that. But if you are using software, they must have also said their neutrality is this and this. So we have to follow the context of each of the software, not like this is what I wanted to do. However, if you want to do your own, you can go ahead and define it and say this is neutrality. So like the tools that I discussed now, that tone analyzer, when we are using it, we always refer to the way they design or they describe that particular categories there. So if I'm reporting the data, I need to focus on that descriptions, not bringing my own 100%. But I can treat it to look at my own context. So it's like you are developing a product. So your product is this and this. You cannot tell me that it's not like that, because that is what I said I'm solving. So for like 3 or 4 years now, me and my team have been looking at how do we do a software that will be applicable to Nigerian context in terms of all this neutrality, positive and the negative. But we cannot do that one without coming to a department like community arts, mass communications. We need to gather people together and look at what is the definition of neutrality and the positivities or negativities. So we can now use that one to develop that particular software. Then we can say anybody in Nigeria, if you want to use this software, it's going to be applicable to you because we have developed it within the context of Nigeria. But most of these things that we are using outside, like all this one they did in America, they did them for their own area.
Yeah.
In fact, by the time we are using the settlement fees, if you type some keywords there, it will give you like Mago now. But by the time you get to the map, it won't show you Mago map in Nigeria. Why? Because in Nigeria, we don't actually own our location. So if I'm tweeting in Lagos or Ibadan, and I say I'm looking for the map of Nigeria for the tweet, I beg, I cannot get it though, because Nigerians they will mute their location.
Yeah.
But in US, there is no way you can mute your location 100%. So they are using those locations to make decisions. So in our own context, we cannot do that. So, but if I know that situation, I can say, hey, I'm developing a software to do this issue that we are having in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So that's my view on that. So
all right, thank you very much, Mutiu. We are really very grateful. We need to do 2 or 3 more things and then we'll round off. One is that while this seminar was going on, my network decided to log me out 2 or 3 times. So I lost some questions in the chat. So if your question has not been answered, please resend it. Now there is a question here. How many of these tools are free? I think all the Dr. Ojebuyi asked that question.
Ojebuyi has, yes, and okay. Most of them, the one I discussed today, they are free, 100%.
Okay.
Now,
okay, thank you.
Some they will say freemium for 30 for 30 days. After 30 days, they will ask you to pay. So like Kidway Miner now, Kidway Miner is being used for interview analysis. So you can be on free for 30 days. After 30 days, all the functionality of that particular software will stop. You won't be able to use it again. So you have to pay to get it. However, in Nigeria, we always like something free. They don't have free in Europe. So in most cases, they will give you for some days and then you won't be able to use any other time, except you pay. Then I don't think it's actually now difficult for us to also pay for some of these things, because by the time you look at the benefits, you will be amazed, because easily you have your data without stressing yourself. Then you can also analyze those data without having any problem. So if you can pay for some of these tools, it is very important, better for us.
All right, thank you very much. So if I have not read out your question, just know that I lost the question. Please resend it. Let me announce that today we have a number of visitors that I specially invited. I'm sorry, I should have taken your permission before inviting them. And they are here. Professor Oyewo is here, or should I say was here, because these things keep logging people out. I think Professor Oyewo has left. Dr. Ebuhari is here. Dr. Ojebuyi is here. A few other people are invited, are not here. Again, I should have told you, but it skipped my mind. I thought this is an important opportunity that people would, our colleagues would also want to join us. The seminar was recorded, but it's going to come like in bits, I'm sure. I'll be sharing that through email or maybe also through WhatsApp, so that you can go back to these things and you can go back to these things and try to apply them. Importantly, let me say that the only way we can master these tools is to just use them. Fortunately, all of us here are also computer literate, and we have people who can do computation. The best way to learn is to use. I am going to, we are leaving here in 10 minutes. So I'm going to give 5 minutes to somebody who has worked with Mutiu on a number of projects, and that is Rashid. Rashid, I'm going to unmute you. Rashid is going to tell us what it was like just working through these tools, using these tools, and any other thing. Rashid, it would be nice if you can do this in about 5 minutes. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I want to greet, welcome to the seminar. Thank you for being part of the learning process, sir. Well, for me, using some of these tools, one of the first issues, and I think somebody raised it, is the issue of statistics and mathematics. Some of us decided to come to Faculty of Arts because we could not cope with mathematics and social sciences. So when tools were introduced to me by Mutiu, the first thing was the issue of statistics and mathematics. But I feel that we are also intelligent enough to overcome some of our fears and phobia about mathematics. So people who are expressing those fears should not worry. By the time we continue to use them, we begin to understand how much more they are going to be useful to us beyond the mathematics phobia. I also want to emphasize that need skills in Excel. You can't use Google Trends without bringing in the data to Excel for further processing. So we need to use Excel. I used to trouble Mutiu a lot because when it's called, I didn't like Excel. Maybe because I have issues with mathematics or statistics, but he said compulsorily. So some of us will use Excel. We should go and learn about the world is going more mathematical these days. Again, let me also say that using some of these tools will open doors where it is least expected. And I'm going to share this little experience. There was this paper myself, Mutiu, and one other person are working on. The paper was accepted in digital journalism practice. Journalism practice is the 8th in the list of Google Scholars list of journals that Mutiu showed us at the beginning of his presentation. And it was basically because of the unique methodology that we are bringing to bear on the study. Journalism practice is published by Taylor and Francis. I think that's going to be the first time any of my article will be appearing in understanding of the world to other disciplines. And the last thing I'm going to add is that, especially for some of us who are in reputational management, in public relations, one of the major issues we've always had is about measuring success, is about showing in terms of numbers what we have been able to achieve for our organizations. So I think deploying these digital tools like Google Trends, Google Alerts will enable us to be able to visualize what we've been able to achieve as professionals. And for journalists too, I think it is high time we began to features, and other content that we put in our mediums, so that people can have a broader understanding of what we are talking about. And that could also be brought about by some of these tools. So it's important for us to actually adopt them and adapt as situations warrant. And I want to enjoin us that, as Prof charged us, the only way to know how to use these things better is by using them. So we cannot afford to shy away from using them. So I want to thank you, Prof, for the opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Rashid, everybody, we would bring it to a close here. This has been one of our very long seminars. I think we usually spend about 1.5 hours. And I think we used to stop when people's fingers are paining them, because we work on WhatsApp. Thank you very much, Mutiu. Mutiu Mutiu and I have not talked about how much we are going to pay him for this. So, I mean, he just feels I asked him to do it and then he must do it. And it's like for him, money does not come first. And I think that is a very, very wonderful and godly attitude. So thank you, everyone. My network logged me out again, but the devil is a liar as usual. I'm going to make attempts to share the recordings, no matter the number of them. I will serialize them so that then you can follow the way I number them. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mutiu. Well done.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mutiu.
All right, sir.
Thank you, Prof.